Stangibelisco here. I was just reading BBC.com on the internet and learned that societies around the world are increasingly uh, using electronic transactions only and excluding cash from everything from purchasing a car to purchasing groceries to buying a candy bar at the five and dime. I guess you couldn't call it a dime anymore, could you? I mean, it certainly wouldn't cost a dime. But the idea is, I guess, to transform our entire economy, the whole world economy, or at least that of some countries, to cashless economies. It sounds great. It relies on the internet, of course, or some form of electronic communication between and amongst banks and other uh, institutions such as retail stores. You go to buy gas, they won't accept cash. You go to buy your groceries, they won't accept cash. You go to buy a cup of coffee at a street cafe, they won't accept cash. That day appears to be coming in some countries and has practically arrived already. I think Sweden and is one country that is furthest out in that direction. Sounds kind of cool uh, because, you know, if you don't carry any cash, nobody can steal any cash from you. They can't hold you up. I mean, they can get your card, but you can get right online and cancel your card immediately. You can't get online and cancel cash immediately. It's gone. If you lose it, it's gone. Sounds kind of neat, doesn't it? Well, there's just one problem with that. What happens when these electronic means of communication between institutions goes down? It could go down for a number of reasons. A coronal mass ejection from the sun could produce an electromagnetic field that would wipe out much of the internet. Banks and other institutions and the internet itself could be hacked. For example, if we decided that the United States of America, decided that we wanted to destroy the economy of some other country, let's just, for sake of argument, say Sweden, even though that's never going to happen. But suppose that some hacker in the United States or anywhere in the world decided that they wanted to destroy the economy of Sweden. It would be very easy to do. Some pimple-faced brat in their teens in some country like Bulgaria or Brazil or the United States, for that matter, could hack into the system and bring it down. The Swedish banking and financial system. If cash transactions had been disallowed entirely, what would happen when you went to the dime store, the grocery store, when you went to that street side cafe? I can remember one time when I was going to get, when I was purchasing a place in near Cody, Wyoming, which I subsequently called the Long Wave Ranch. And uh, at that time, Wells Fargo Bank wouldn't, I couldn't get any transactions done at Wells Fargo Bank to get the necessary cashier's check, I believe it was, that I was going to use to purchase the property. Why? Because evidently somebody had cut through a wire which allowed internet communication over much of the state of Wyoming, and some banks and other institutions were simply shut down when that happened. Suppose that the sun decided to have a super conniption fit, a coronal mass ejection, producing an electromagnetic pulse which would fry many of the servers and other electronic uh, nodes in the internet all over the entire world. If we couldn't use cash, if it wasn't even available as a fallback, what could we do? How would we? What kind of economic catastrophe would take place? We'd be back to the barter system. We'd be back to living practically in caveman days, just like that, because such events can occur in the blink of an eye. Trait scan is off. It's not a question of what will we do if something happens like that. It's a question of what will we do when something happens like that, because sooner or later, some kind of crisis will occur on the internet which will shut much of it down. And if our very transactions that require that we need to get food and water and other basic necessities of life don't work anymore, I'd call that a crisis. I would call that a cash meltdown, a cashless meltdown, a cashless catastrophe. What do you think? Comments are open. Do you think I'm full of baloney? Or do you think maybe I'm onto something? Do you think I'm being an alarmist? Or do you think I'm being a realist? And if so, what do you plan to do if all of a sudden you can't buy or sell anything? Period. Cash or not. Stan Gibilisco signing off. Until next time, so long.